and all the time. We are so grateful once again in this evening to come and congregate together here. I want to invite each and everyone here physical, those who are watching online. We are about to start our programs. Kindly get tuned, put your gadgets on. We want to see the blessings of God. Amen. We want to start our program by singing the theme song. Then we will invite Dr. Onsongo to come and talk to us. Before we do that, let us have a word of prayer. Our Father and our God, we want to thank you so much for this evening. Thank you for the opportunity you have given us once again to come and worship you in your sanctuary. We want to ask for the blessings for your blessings. And those who are on the way coming, Lord, may you hasten their feet so that we can be able to share the same blessings together. And our online viewers, Lord, we ask for your blessings. May these messages be of a great blessing because this is the right time that you want us to hear them. Thank you as we start until we finish, for we ask all this in Jesus' name. Amen. Sister Millicent, come and do the theme song, then we start. We are going to do song number 340.
Jesus saves. Let's start. We have heard a joyful sound. Jesus saves, Jesus saves. Spread the gladness all around.
Jesus saves, Jesus saves. Bear the news to every land. Rhyme the streets and cross the waves. Onward, Lord, our Lord command. Jesus saves, Jesus saves. Waited
on the rolling tide.
Jesus saves, Jesus saves. Tell the sinners far and wide. Jesus saves, Jesus saves. Sing ye hymns of the sea, echo back ye ocean caves. I shall know it by jubilee. Jesus saves, Jesus saves. Sing above the battle strife. Jesus saves, Jesus saves. By his death and endless life. Jesus saves, Jesus saves. Sing it softly through the room. When the heart for mercy clears, sing it joyous to the top. Jesus saves, Jesus saves. Give the winds a mighty voice. Jesus saves, Jesus saves. Let the nation now rejoice. Jesus saves, Jesus saves. Shout salvation full and free. Highest hill and deepest caves. This a song of victory. Jesus saves, Jesus saves.
Amen.
Amen. Dr. Karip, you take us.
Welcome, Dr.
Thank you, Elder, for the opportunity and for inviting us for today's program. And I believe we are going to be blessed. As we start the program, our first program, that is the health segment, I believe each one of us, those tuning online, those who have come to church at this moment, each one of us shall be able to be blessed. Today we want to discuss a very interesting conversation, and the topic of the day is in regards to diabetes. It's a topic that each one of us needs to be familiar with. It's because there's an increase in diseases, especially lifestyle diseases, and specifically we talked about a segment of lifestyle diseases which we said metabolic syndrome. So diabetes is among those diseases that are triggered by metabolic syndrome. We have seen from the screen that another way we are coining this is the sweet poison. That is basically, I'm going to clarify that, and we are going to see how diabetes is related to our lifestyle. For those who are coming here for the first day, I challenge us to go through what we have been studying from the first day to today being our 11th to 12th topic, where we are discussing about diabetes. And we start by having this particular quote, which has always been there from our first day, that may your food be your medicine, and may be your medicine be your food. Now, we are going to see that as we progress in our topic of the day. And today we are going to read from the book of 3 John verse 2. Somebody from the congregation, Amos, you can take the microphone and read for us the book of 3 John verse 2. You can read from the screen. There could be communication department to guide you on that. Read for us that particular verse. We want to see what our key text for tonight is mentioning. You can read that. The Bible says, Beloved,
I wish above all things
I wish above all things
that thou mayest prosper
that you may prosper
and be in health, even as thy soul
even as thy soul prospered. Thank you so much. That is the book 3 John 2. And we're going to see how God has always had the goodwill for us. Jesus is saying that you may prosper and be in health. That is why we keep on getting these reminders on what can we do to prosper and be in good health. Without forgetting that we have always been discussing about the wellness wheel from our first day. That God is saying that because He created you in His own image, He gives us a manual. And the manual says that for us to be holistic, we must be physically healthy, mentally healthy, physically healthy. We talked about spiritual health and social health. Now, as we talk about diabetes, we are going to see how those 4 dimensions play a role. Number one, I want to ask a simple question. Did you know that 1 in 10 adults worldwide have diabetes? Maybe. Who's an adult? Maybe somebody from the audience to give us an intelligent guess. Who's an adult? My sister, the other side. Who's an adult? Elder? Somebody above 18 years. Thank you so much, Elder. That an adult is somebody above 18 years. And the statistics are showing that 1 in 10 adults worldwide have diabetes. This is according to the International Diabetes Federation, the IDF. 1 in 10 adults have diabetes. Now that could not be shocking to you, but when we narrowed this down to our local encounter in Kenya, the number could actually be increasing today as we speak. But the unfortunate circumstance is that 90% of those people have what we call type 2 diabetes. We're going to see the science of that type 2 diabetes, and today is going to be science. The last 2 days it has always been science, where we talk about what is really happening in your systems, and you need to be intelligent and be able to grasp how your body functions. We have started engineering. Many of us are experts in these machines. Many of us have even studied how a car operates. They understand a carburetor, so much science, but we are forgetting that your body, you need to master it. I was speaking to somebody the other day. They are very good engineers on road construction. They understand how even there is normally a drainage in some roads in Nairobi because the construction was never done the right way. Angles and angles, how construction works. But I asked them a simple question. Do you know your pancreas? Do you know a cell that makes insulin in you? They don't know. We need to be aware that as much as we study the other things out there, many of us even have started cows, donkeys, goats, that when you slaughter that cow in your home, you know which parts of that particular animal. You have mastered the other creations, but have you mastered yourself? That is why we have increase in diabetes today. That people have neglected their systems. Today we are going to see how a simple organ, a simple cell can transform the society to kill 1 in 10 people who have diabetes today. Now, that is not a simple statistic that I can skip that line, but I want to break it to families, and I will tell you, maybe don't miss tomorrow, on our specific cases, and how diabetes is one of the diseases that have been neglected in our society. I was somewhere in these counties in Kenya, and we screened more than 2,000 people in Global Diabetes Day 2020. And all of a sudden, we could realize more than 50% of those who came to the camp were positive for diabetes. Knowing your risk is very important to prevent, to make early diagnosis, and for timely management. Type 2 diabetes affects how your body uses sugars. It stops the body from functioning. We are going to see how this is critical. But before I pray, allow me emphasize this next slide, that the International Diabetes Federation estimates that there are more than 212 million people worldwide. That is what we are saying, 1 in 10 adults having diabetes. Now, China is the country with the highest number of diabetics, of course. 141 million people suffering from diabetes. Maybe could be because China is highly populated. Of course, other countries, they followed the list. But by end of 2045, it's predicted that China will have about 174 million people with diabetes. And unfortunately, according to the China study, this is the single largest nutritional study in the world. The China study was funded by the Chinese government, trying to study why is China suffering from such diseases that are increasing, and they concluded that obesity is the key factor in type 2 diabetes. And today we are going to show us the science in that statement. Shockingly, every 10 seconds, there are 2 new cases of diabetes diagnosed. Right now, those watching online, those tuning in from home, those in church, we are saying that every 10 seconds, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 2 new cases. Simply because there are things that have gone wrong. By 2025, there's a prediction that 380 million people worldwide will be diabetic. Today is 212 according to International Diabetes Federation, but in 2025, 380 million people will be suffering from diabetes. This is good news to some people, but bad news to you. I repeat, this increase is good news to doctors, but bad news to you. That is why today doctors are subspecializing. I told you the other day, I'm a general doctor. The next thing is I become a physician. And if you are not careful, as this number is approaching 380, I will then decide to become what you call a diabetologist. A diabetologist is a physician who has decided to specialize in diabetes management. He studies your cells that are supposed to regulate your sugars. And for you to see me when I'm a diabetologist, you will have to pay heavily. When I come to the ward, when I just enter that door, before even I talk to you, you need to give you a check first. Probably at a minimum of 10,000. Then I spend 15 minutes with you to study how your pancreas is worsening. Then I give you another medication as I go home. But today, for you to see me, of course, it's cheaper. In a small facility, it's 500. In an affordable facility, in some facilities, it's maybe 3,000. Physician fee is 3,000 to 5,000. Now, diabetes cases are increasing. As they increase, somebody is happy. Let me ask you, why should I come here to educate you how to prevent diabetes? Yet, you can get diabetes and I still make 10,000 from you, elder. So, elder, if Crystal Fountain, we have more diabetics, there's more money to the hospitals. There's more money to the doctors. I'm challenging you as we think about this topic that it is about you to initiate and take care and control your system. This number is shocking, but today I will not give you my personal side of this, but I will tell you in my inner circle, I'm talking about the extended family lineage. These diseases are with us. These diseases are with us. Diabetes mellitus comes from the word in Greek where and a Latin root where we say diabetes means siphon. Siphon is when something is passing through a pipe, and that is why in diabetes there is one of the symptoms of excessive urination. Now, in another term of mellitus, which we are discussing today, mellitus means sweetened with honey. It refers to the presence of sugar in urine. That is why today there are two types of diabetes, insipidus and mellitus. I want to take us back to biology. It was, I think, in Form 2. Among the last Gen Zs in the room, I see Amos, my brother, I think, Brian there. Not the senior Brian, the other one, what's your name? Michael, you are a Gen Z. You must have learned that there are two types of diabetes. There is insipidus and mellitus. Insipidus is an issue of water control. It's never common in our wards. The other one is mellitus, which we are discussing, and mellitus means sweetened honey. It refers to presence of sugar in urine. Then what is diabetes, mellitus? That is the focus. So I should not lose anybody. We are not discussing about diabetes insipidus, where your kidney fails to regulate water. I'm not here to discuss about that. We are discussing about diabetes mellitus, where in Greek, mellitus means sweetened honey, referring to presence of sugar in urine. Let me tell you now what diabetes is quickly. Diabetes, by definition, is a disorder in which your body does not produce enough insulin, or the insulin you have are not working normally. Now, look at this quickly. You have glucose and you have cells. This is where science comes in, and this is where I will lose 90% of you who are listening to me. This is where now we get confusion. Let me repeat. You have glucose from food, glucose that comes from carbohydrates. Glucose is in the food we eat. Can be starches. They are broken down to simple sugar, and glucose is that particular simple sugar. The biology teacher must have told you there are three types of carbohydrates, and I go back to the Gen Zs. Amos, tell me the first type of carbohydrates. There's no exam here now. Gen Zs. The first type of carbohydrate is called monosaccharide. You remember that, Elder, those times you were in school many years ago? The second type of carbohydrates is called disaccharide. The third type is called polysaccharide. Simple definition. Mono means one. Di means, poly means, are we in agreement? Glucose comes from those three levels of carbohydrates. Glucose is a monosaccharide. Polysaccharides is when you have two monos, and the di is two monos, and the poly is how many monosaccharides? Many. And I remember in high school, I had a formula I used to cram. That thing always came to the exam. So you have glucose plus glucose, you form what we call maltose. So my formula was glugluma. The other one is glufrusu. Glucose plus fructose, it gives you sucrose. Then the last one is, don't remember this, it's not important, but the last one is glugala. Glucose plus galactose equals to lactose. That is the science the teacher wanted you to know, so that when you are in Kitengela, you are not consuming glucose because it's a monosaccharide. It increases your sugar faster than a polysaccharide. Simple science. Form 2. I think the third topic, and even in science, primary school, class 8, it was there. Polysaccharides, disaccharides, monosaccharides. Now, look at this now. Understanding that, leave that high school knowledge. Come back here. Glucose, we have said, is what? A monosaccharide or a disaccharide? So give this microphone to somebody who's active. Almost you are asleep. Give somebody this microphone. I want you to give Elder this. I want us to move together on this. Glucose is which type of carbohydrate? Teacher? A monosaccharide. Thank you, Mwalim. And the communication team work on this microphone so that we move together on this. Glucose is a monosaccharide. Glucose is what your body consumes. Is what your cells want to use. Now, glucose is the fuel that makes your cell to work. Glucose is the reason why you are listening to Dr. Nsongo. Glucose is the reason why you are here for the next 3 days. Glucose is why you are at work today. Glucose gives you energy. Then why are we calling glucose a poison? It's a sweet poison. Why is it a sweet poison? Glucose is a good thing. Without glucose, we are not people. It's a monosaccharide that gives you energy. But look at this now. Move with me with speed. When we eat, the pancreas produces insulin. Look at this. And I want two people to come on stage quickly now. I do a demonstration. I normally love demonstrations more than the theories. For those who are watching online, I'm not sure they will benefit from these, but Elder, come here. Thank you so much. Elder, you can stand here. And somebody else to come. Thank you. You can stand here. Now, I want you to look at the two gentlemen, and when we eat, assume you are sugar. But which type of sugar we said? Glucose. When you eat, whether you eat a polysaccharide, a disaccharide, all of them must be broken down to what? Glucose. So when you eat, glucose comes through your stomach, your intestines, absorbed to you, goes to your blood. Goes to where? Are we in agreement? So glucose that you took in breakfast, in lunchtime, glucose is in any carbohydrate. Ngwashe, ugali, chapati, even the sugar you put in processed format as glucose. But remember, there is glucose in any form of carbs you take. Now glucose is here. Now look at this. When we eat, there is an organ called the pancreas, whose elder here produces what we call insulin. Insulin. So elder produces me. When elder produces me, the insulin goes to your blood, where there is who? Glucose. Insulin goes where? It searches for glucose in your blood and ensures that glucose is eliminated, removed from your blood to go to your cells where elder is. I repeat, you have so many organs. Even this pancreas needs glucose to eat. Your brain needs glucose. Your bones need glucose. Your muscles need glucose. Everything you have as a living cell needs what? But for it to get glucose, the pancreas must send insulin, who I am here, to go and collect and glucose. And once it brings glucose, now touch me, my brother, on my back. Once glucose is attached there, insulin opens the cells so that glucose is gotten from your blood to go to your cells. Now, come back, elder, here. Now, look at this. When we eat, what happens? The pancreas automatically produces insulin. Insulin goes to move glucose from your blood to your cells. Are we getting this? Are we together on this? Now, what happens in diabetes? In people with diabetes, the pancreas either produces no insulin at all. One of the type of diabetes is you don't have insulin at all. So what happens to glucose? It spikes high. The glucose remains in blood. It will never get out of blood because there is no insulin as a mediator. The pancreas produces no insulin. The other type we are saying in still the first type is that little insulin. When I say little, it means kidogo sana ama hakuna. Thank you so much. The pancreas produces no insulin or less amount than required. What happens? I produce 10 and I have glucose 20. So the insulin can only get 10 and remain without many in the blood? 10. Normally, you need to produce 20, enough for the glucose you have. When you produce little or no, it means some glucose are freely remaining where? In the blood. Are we in agreement? Now, before Elder Mwenda Mukae, look at this now. But the second type is where, elder, you are producing insulin, but this insulin, when it comes to work, it is not working. I repeat. The first one I said there is no insulin. The second one, there is enough insulin from elder, but the insulin fails to work for two reasons. It gets resistance. Inaambiwa, reject. Inaambiwa, we don't need you there. And we'll be seeing shortly what makes insulin to be rejected. When insulin is rejected, it goes and stays in blood. I repeat, you produce insulin, it goes to blood, but because it cannot work to bring glucose to the cells, it remains there. Another insulin is produced. But they cannot open the gates. And I'm showing you shortly how the gates look like. Insulin fails to open the gates. By failing to open the gates, insulin and glucose, both of them remain where? In blood. I've just used 5 minutes to show you what diabetes type 1 is and type 2 is, and if you don't understand anything, then you are likely never to understand it for the rest of your life. The first type of diabetes is where elder has no insulin. It's called type 1 diabetes. The second type is where elder has enough insulin, but the insulin cannot work because it's resisted. It's called insulin resistant diabetes or diabetes type 2. Before you sit, elder, now look at this now quickly. I can allow you sit, and whenever I need you, don't be tired, you can come back. Now look at this. Glucose builds in blood. Regardless of the type of diabetes mellitus, we are agreeing in both cases, glucose remains where? Then glucose in blood can overflow to urine, passes out of the body in the urine, thus the body loses its main source of fuel. Now look at this. Glucose is a good thing. Are we in agreement? Glucose is what? But it's remaining where? Where do you need glucose? In the cells. But it's remaining in? So your body is hungry, yet you have what? Glucose. That's why type 2 diabetes can also be called shortage in abundance. Uko na chakula jikoni na unalala njaa. You have everything, but you are hungry. That is what we are here to discuss. What makes people today, 1 in 10 adults, having glucose, but their cells are hungry? The worst part is that because of that, they keep on getting more glucose, thinking that they need it, only to realize that they have enough, but it's only the body cannot use what they have. And that's why diabetes is a very dangerous disease. The body loses its form of energy. Look at this picture now. The white things are glucose. This is enough glucose that you have taken to be absorbed. This is where it's not absorbed. It remains in blood. Can you see this? Why is this happening? There is a gate here. For those who are home, you might not see me, but just see the screen. On the left side, there is a gate that is bluish. That gate is closed. Can you see it closed? Can you see it's open here? That is what diabetes is. When it's closed like this, glucose cannot enter your cells. That means glucose remains in blood. When it's open, glucose comes from blood, goes to your cells to use. Are you seeing this? That is the simple science of diabetes. That we want to ensure all of us are able to open our doors so that insulin can work and ensure glucose gets to your cells to be used so that it's not in excess. Now, look at this now. That's another way of seeing this. Hope those watching can see this now, clearer picture. That because the gates are closed, your cells cannot take glucose. Glucose remains in blood in excess. You can see the yellow droplets. That is glucose. The question is, what is your glucose level in blood? When you realize that the normal glucose level is 3.5 to 7.8, and when you are fasting, it's 5.8 maximum, and many of us, I will tell you a secret. Many of us who are meat eaters, and I'm going to show you how. Many of us who drink a lot of sugar. Many of us who take 7 chapatis instead of 1 or 2. Many of us who take a lot of carbohydrates. Many of your sugar levels after you have taken your meal are above 11. I will give you a testimony which you don't want. Doctors might never tell you this. today, many of us are diabetic, what we call pre-diabetic. It's only that your pancreas is so strong, it brings your sugar down after 2 hours, you are not admitted. But many of us, after we have eaten, our sugar level spikes above the normal level. The normal is maximum should not go above 7.8. So the doctor tells you are okay, but you are pre-diabetic. Your sugar is 8.9. Just do something. Go and eat, pray, exercise. But you are sitting on a bomb that one day, if you are not careful, it might go above 11. And that is now a confirmation of diabetes. So I'm just telling you that your sugar level is to be 3.5 to 7.8 on a random scale. When you are fasting for 8 hours, maximum is 5.8. But we say you are diabetic when it's above 11. So what happens between 7.8 to 11? Mark timing. Mark timing is where because you are the pancreas, you send insulin. Some of it works, some of it doesn't work. So you are mark timing, thinking whether do you work or not. That's what we call pre-diabetes. Now quickly, let me take you back to science a bit. The high sugar in blood, the kidney can no longer contain it. Then the glucose is passed through urine. That's why let me take you to history. Many years before I became a doctor, the diagnosis of diabetes was done by testing urine. So Dr. Nsongo tells you, bring me a sample of your urine, then I'm able to test this. And if it's sugary, then I know you have diabetes. Of course, today we have better ways to do this. But also, ants were used. So they put your urine there, and ants are moving around. So when they go to your urine, because they love sugar, we know that your urine is sugary. Of course, things have changed, and we have better ways to do this. But then I want to take you deeper to your cell, because I told you the way you master your TV, even YouTube, Netflix. Some of us have mastered our computer, even modern programs, Canva. I'm an IT student currently, and Brian will tell you I do nice posters, and I can give you a testimony one day. But we have mastered the canvas of this world, Excel, PowerPoint. We make very nice slides. You can even tell from the slides I'm using, I must have invested energy to put a flower in a bin, and you see we are mastering that. We have accountants seated here. We have people who have mastered the machines. But have you mastered your pancreas? You are asked, give me a poster within 30 minutes, you generate it. But if I tell you, manage your pancreas in 1 hour, you fail it and you kill it. As you master those machines, let me take you to the science to help you master your pancreas. What is the pancreas and insulin? You have a cell called the beta cell. Now this is where I will lose all of you and I will bring you back, don't worry. There is what we call a beta cell. A beta cell is a cell inside your pancreas that manufactures insulin. After you eat, that beta cell produces insulin. Insulin is used to unlock the door. Now look at this. This is your pancreas. The projector is misbehaving, but don't worry, we'll overcome this. You see the pancreas there? It produces what we said, insulin. The insulin goes to unlock the BC cell. Now look at this. Now this is what I want us to see now. Before I lose you. You see that light? You see that light? That light is when you have glucose. Telling insulin, come open the gate so that insulin gets to your cells. But what happens in diabetes? When you don't have insulin, that insulin is not there. So the door is done what? Locked. When the door is closed, the glucose remains in. And that is type 2. The cells do not respond. Now we call them lazy cells. You give them insulin, but that insulin does not work. Now look at this. This is the most important slide of all my slides this moment. See this and put it in the back of your mind. You can see the door is closed now. But tell me what is closing that door. I want 2 people to respond from the audience. 1 from this side and 1 from this side. What do you think is closing that door? You can give me an intelligent guess. You can all see that in this other normal, in this type 1 diabetes, the door is open. Are you seeing the door open? That is the diabetes when your child is born with diabetes. Their doors are open. But because of inheritance of genes, their cells are not working. Their cells cannot be opened for many reasons. For that type of diabetes is that they don't have insulin. And I'm going to show you what causes that type 1 in children. It's because you have not given them insulin. So what happens? Their doors are open, but there's no insulin. So what is their problem? Their problem is that they have inherited some problems that are genetic, that are causing them not to produce insulin. But I want you to respond to me. What do you see there? Don't go to the sons. What are you seeing there? What is closing that gate? Somebody? An intelligent guess from the left side? Elder Ngugi? It's like chocolate that is closing that. Somebody else? Now let us look at what really causes that blockage. The blockage, we are calling it insulin what? Blockage. That you have insulin, elder. Now let me take you back to this to make you understand. Diabetes type 2 that I demonstrated here does not come when you are born. You are in Crystal Fountain, wherever you are watching from, ulienda ukagraduate from university, you stopped exercising. When people go to exercise, you sleep. You don't drink water adequate. You sleep at 12 midnight. You wake up at 3. You are eating all types of sugar. You are taking cholesterol. Then at 70 years, Dr. Nsongo tells you, I suspect you have diabetes. Were you born with it? No. Do you have it now? Yes. Where did it come from? That is the question I want you to address. That is called type 2 diabetes. It comes because we are blocking the doors that insulin is to open. The other type 1, I'm not here to discuss about it. The other one is you don't have any control. But this one, each one of us have control. And I started by saying 90% of adults who have diabetes, they have which type of diabetes? They have which type of diabetes? So ukiona watu 10 wako na ugonjwa wa sukari, 9 wako na gani? It means they closed their gates. So the question is, what did they do to close those gates? If you understand that, then you have mastered your pancreas. I wish each one of us, even if you never understood anything the last 12 days, master this, and you can say you benefited from Elder Njugi's program and the ECD homecoming conference. That can you even master one cell? Don't even remember cancer if you are not having enough adequate brain cells. Don't even remember hypertension, but master your pancreas and say, I will succeed to prevent diabetes in my family. My children will never have diabetes. Now look at the reasons for that. But before the reasons, what will tell you have diabetes? I thought I can mention them as a passing by. One of the issues, increased frequency of urination, UTIs, extreme exhaustion, unintentional weight loss, intense hunger and thirst, tingling cessation, slow wound healing. But I will show you why those symptoms occur by telling you what causes blockage of your receptors. But you might even be knowing these symptoms. For example, when you have glucose in blood that is in excess, what happens? Si unasikia kiu, because you need water to dilute that glucose. Why do you have frequent urination? Is because you have glucose in urine. So you are trying to lose a lot of water. So you absorb all the water from your cells because what we call diffusion. Biology form 1. Osmosis versus diffusion. That the movement of water from a region of low concentration to a region of high concentration is called what, Gen Zs? It's called what? Osmosis or diffusion? Osmosis. So when you have glucose in your blood that is not supposed to be there, water will move from your other parts of the body to go to where there is more glucose. Because there is more water coming to your blood vessels, that water must be eliminated. That's why you urinate a lot. Why are you having excessive thirst? Because the whole water that is supposed to help you manage your hunger, your thirst, has gone to dilute glucose in blood. Those symptoms, Why are you having wounds? It's because the glucose destroys the blood vessels and you develop diabetic wound. The glucose should never be in your blood vessels. Why does somebody become blind? It's because the glucose destroys the small retinal blood vessels. Glucose should never be free in blood. When glucose is free in blood, it's a dangerous atom. But when glucose is in your cells, you are happy. Ensure all your glucose is in your blood. By the time we conclude our today's program, ensure all your glucose is where? In your cells, not in your blood. Sorry. All your glucose should be where? In your cells. How do you test this quickly? By a finger prick and a lab test. Tomorrow I've given you a free blood sugar test for those who will come to church. The machine is here. Tomorrow, if you want to check your sugar, come early enough. We shall do a free blood sugar test and show you that if it's 7, elder, I will tell you, go live in peace. But remember, you are approaching 7.8, go exercise. And if it's 11, we'll tell you, you are a candidate of giving us a trip to Migori, to Machakos or Kisii, an unfortunate trip which I don't want to mention. And that is why we are here. Now look at this now. I want to tell you the reason why we are here now. We are here for... Now there are long-term complications that I don't want to discuss, can even cause ulcer, kidney disease, because when sugar is in blood, it goes to urine. When there's sugar in your kidney, it destroys your kidney cells. That is complication of diabetes. I don't want us to remember this. This leave for doctors. I repeat, these complications of diabetes, I don't want you, Brian, Amos, Elder, to remember them. Leave this to the doctors, because you are focused. How do you make your gates always open? When they are closed, ndio madaktari wanakulia. For example, when you have diabetic foot, ulcer, I can amputate you. It's the simplest procedure that I ever done in medicine. When I was working for the county government of Kisii, and I was in Kiambu during my practicing learning years, amputation is so easy. I just take you, my brother, we take a wire, then we just cut your leg because of diabetic foot. Complications has nothing to do with you. That leave it for the doctors are specializing how to manage your complications. We have a doctor who has specialized in neuropathy, nerves affecting your sugar in blood, affecting your nerves. There's a doctor giving you pregabalin and medications that can calm your nerves. Allow that doctor do their role. That's what they used to pay school fees for their family. Unfortunately, the more people with that complications, the more money the doctor makes. So my focus to you is not to teach you how the complications are managed, but to ensure you manage to avoid them by preventing and undergoing lifestyle modification to try and reverse it in the early stages. Amen for that? Kukata mguu ni 60,000 government and private is 300,000. If you have a good insurance, can even be 1 million. So if amputation takes me 36 minutes, everything including closing that. So the 1 hour I'm spending here, I can do many amputations. Even some that I could have done not to come here. But I'm here for one reason, to ensure that as Adventists who are listening to this program, you understand the New Start message was meant to help you reduce those diabetes cases. As they increase, that will tell you the reason why we don't come here on Sabbath to tell you stop taking sugar. It's because the program is meant to ensure if you are diabetic, you make the system run. Some things you don't want to hear them, but I will tell you. 230,000 to amputate a leg. 10 legs in a day, that is how many millions? More than 1 million. Now let me show you the shocking part of this. Of course, diabetes, if not treated, will lead to death. I'm happy to report to you that the reason for the health message in our church is not to ensure we are not dying. Let me repeat to you, as a doctor, I pray Jesus comes before I die. But if Jesus is not going to come before I die, all of you will die. Let me repeat by saying this. All of you will do what? The role of this is to postpone what? Your funeral. I repeat. We are here to sensitize you how to live longer or happy so that you serve Crystal Fountain Church and serve God when you are healthy. Now that you will die, is there a cure and some remedies to help you reduce the duration you will die? We started by giving a lifespan of 79.9 years, but I'm here to tell you the same data shows Adventist lifespan is 89. Did I say this? Or I was in Nongopir over the weekend where we studied documents from the US government saying the Blue Zone study concluded that the Blue Zone region, Loma Linda was number one in that region, California state. They showed that Adventist average lifespan is 89 years. But the world, 79 years. But the healthy lifespan, 31 years. The question is, why are Adventists living to 89 years on average? And they realized many of them, they live to 100 in Loma Linda. The reason why the average is 89 is because some of you and me are reducing it from 100 to 70. So the average is 89 because of you and me. When a teacher gives an average in a class, it means he factors the poorest student and the best student. So an average for Adventist is 89. Ask yourself, who's tuning in and watching live, are you among those reducing it to below 89 or taking it above 89? Now, to answer the question, take me through this series of, is there a real cure in diabetes? But the question can only be found in the cause. I repeat, the question whether diabetes can be treated can only be found where? In the cause. I've just shown you the cause, but allow me show you deeper into that. But let us ask from the Ministry of Healing, page 127. The Spirit of Prophecy says this: disease is an effort of nature to free the system from conditions that results from violation of the laws of health. How many laws of health do we have? Today I have a gift I will give for those who will answer. How many laws of health do we have? I'm giving you a marking scheme and some of you are not seeing. What was the first law, which we said in the day one? What was the first law? The law of self-nourishing. Where you take nice foods, your body is nourished. You take bad food, your body is destroyed. The second law was self-detoxing, where the food you eat, if it has no free radicals and toxins, you are okay. If it has toxins, your body tries to remove them through the kidney and the liver. But if you take so many toxins daily, your body fails that law. What was the third law of health? The third law is the law of self-defense. Self-defense means when you have a good body, malaria will be fought, HIV will not be fought because HIV, your body cannot manage it, but your body can defend against some viral infections like including COVID-19. That's why you survived COVID, because you have self-defense. But allow me mention this critical statement. The fourth law is maintenance. Self-maintenance means when you observe the other three laws, you live longer. Ministry of Healing is saying disease is when you violate those four laws. So when we talk about is there a cure for diabetes, the answer can only be found in the cause. What does that mean? Which law have you violated for any of these diseases we discuss? I don't have time to discuss about what the manual says, but they pick from 1 Corinthians 15:15, where we talk about death as a sting. The sting of death, which is sin, and the strength of sin is the law. Now, for sin is the transgression of the law. Now, we talked about decrees and laws. But diseases start on a cellular level, as I have shown you. Diseases start from a cellular level. And one member of the cell suffers, all the other members suffer. Now look at this. We said your body is a complex machine. There are cells, tissues, organs, body, and all this. Did you know that you have approximately 100 trillion cells? Which cell produces insulin? Let me see how many are awake. Which cell produces insulin? Beta cells. But you have how many cells in your body? 100 trillion. Now, and the disease is when a cell has been affected. Many a time when you are sick, you rush to me, I don't manage your cell. It's your problem. I repeat. The doctor's role is not to manage your cell. We are there to manage your systems, to ensure you don't have headache, you don't have migraine. It's your role to manage your cells because you have how many million cells? How many million cells? Do you have 100 trillion doctors to manage you? The only person who can manage those cells are you and God. Even doctors have not been able to understand all the cells you have. We try to name them beta, alpha, mega. There are many cells in you, but we can never even understand how to manage them. God understands how you can manage those cells. Now, causes of diabetes type 1, which is not the conversation we are having, is that they can be genetical, environmental, exposure to some viral infections like mumps in the early stages, and a child develops to have maybe diabetes type 1. But the commonest is what we call autoimmunity, where the body destroys itself. Autoimmunity is where your body immunity, rather than protecting you, starts to fight itself. Accidentally, it starts to fight the beta cells. So you have a child growing with diabetes because they have an autoimmune disease, where the body, rather than protecting them, starts to fight itself. That is not the conversation we want to have. The conversation is here. Type 2, whereby we said 90% of the cases where there is excess glucose and there is an issue with fat cells. What is the cause of type 2 diabetes? The first major risk is you have fat cells in your body. These fat cells produce what we call resistin. Resistin is a hormone that you produce from fat tissues. You have an adipose tissue in you. Adipose tissue ni ile mafuta iko chini ya ngozi. Na ile watu wanaita kitambi. I had my equal size of kitambi sometimes. When I was at 7 kg, my stomach was really big. I could walk to places and people say, Dr. Nsongo amefika. People respect you by the size of your stomach and the size of everything. 87 kg. That is called adipose tissue. Adipose tissue is fat below your skin. Your body can never store excess proteins and carbs. It converts them to adipose tissue. Should I repeat that statement? When you have taken 7 chapatis, your body does not store them as starch. Because the stores for carbohydrates are limited, the body converts them to glucose, what you need, but excess of all the carbohydrates are taken to adipose tissue for storage. So adipose tissue is the animal in the room. Adipose tissue ni mafuta chini ya ngozi. This is fat below your skin, surrounding your digestive organs. That is what we call adipose tissue. The picture I showed you when we talked about digestive system, that fat you saw layer, it's called adipose tissue. Adipose tissue, this one, we are saying fat produces resistin. This resistin makes insulin not to work. But it's better understood in a diagram. Look at this now, for those who are asleep. Now we are in science. We are saying you have adipose tissue. Have we agreed that? All of you have adipose tissue. When it's in excess, it produces what we call resistin. Resistin is the hormone that makes your cells stop responding to insulin. So what does it do in literal terms? It closes the gate. I repeat, you have fat from the food you eat, from the 7 chapatis, excess ugalis, from nyama choma which has fat. Some of us even go to the butcher and say, nipe ile ya mafuta. You are actually not even, you know you have fat from ugali, because ugali in excess is converted, but you go to the butcher and tell them, give me the fatty layer. Inaitwa steak. Niekei steak. So when that comes to you, your fat cells give us a hormone called resistin. This resistin is what closes the gates. And when the gates close, glucose cannot enter the cell. And when glucose cannot enter the cell, we end up with type 2 diabetes. Look at this again as a repetition. There is excess cholesterol. There are 2 ways in which fat leads to type 2 diabetes. One, producing a hormone called resistin. Usisikumbuke hiyo jina, just know there's something that adipose tissue produces that makes insulin not work. But the other reason, cholesterol on its own, ikikaa kwa mshipa wa damu, ni kama kupaka mafuta kule ushago. When you are building a house, Maybe your father was building when they were young. They take mud. And when there's alcohol, because you don't want people to see you at night, you close using mud. Cholesterol behaves like mud in your blood. When it's in excess, it goes and starts to clog the vessels. What if where the cholesterol is clogging is where there's that gate where insulin is supposed to open? Insulin fails to open that gate, leading to type 2 diabetes. This is the cycle of insulin resistance. You eat food, you make insulin. The cells resist what we call insulin because of two reasons. You have produced resistin, or the cholesterol is just piling there. The unfortunate part is that it repeats itself. Let me tell you the unfortunate part about diabetes, why even doctors are shocked about what can we do. You have glucose that has failed to go to your body. Are we in agreement? So it means it's in excess. Unfortunately, because it's in excess, your body cannot store excess glucose. It converts it to what we call adipose tissue. The adipose tissue is fat, gives you more resistin. Now look at this. Already, it's not going in. It's already excess. So tukipima tunapata iko 12. Already it's in excess, but again, it's converted to another form we call adipose tissue. The adipose tissue causes more resistance. So you already have a problem, and another problem comes in because the glucose in excess, which you are adding more sugar in the table. 300 ml of soda is equivalent to 3 tablespoons of sugar. So you are adding more sugar to already existing sugar that has failed to go to your blood because there is fat. Problems plus problems equals to problems. You can never get a solution. That's the science many people might not want you to know, but we are here to tell you whether you like it or not. So the reasons why then there is increase in type 2 resistance is overweight and obesity as number 1. Whether we go to China, go to the US, we come back, whether you give me money to research here in Kitengela, it will never change the fact that type 2 diabetes in our wards, 90% of the cases are obese and overweight. It can never change the fact. So when we say in our church, every camp meeting, exercise, nutrition, and you come out of a camp meeting, go home and prepare 7 kgs of meat. Never blame your witch doctors from the village for bewitching you. Overweight and obesity is number 1. So when we say in our church, nutrition, exercise, water, sunshine, temperance, moderation, trust in God, those things don't make sense to you. But when you are get close, because of insulin resistance, when you are in ICU, that is the time you tell Dr. Nsongo, can you give me 5 liters of protocol juice? It will never help you. This is the time for us to impress medical missionary message in our church. I want to challenge those who have come here. It's not about your neighbor, it's about you. It's never even about your partner, your children. If you smoke, it's a problem. If you take excess fructose, it's a problem. That means added sugars. Fructose is added sugars. Glufrusu. Now let me take you back to biology again. This is where I started and I lost some of you. We said glucose is a monosaccharide. Glucose and glucose, they combine. There is also another one called fructose. It's also a monosaccharide. Fructose is what is put in added sugars, in cakes, in the soft drinks. That is fructose. It's an equivalent of glucose. That's why if you must take sugar, then take it in ugali because it's about a bit complex. It's a poly and a di, it's a complex. But when you take the simplest form of carbohydrates, it goes direct to increase sugar. Inactivity. I told you every Wednesday, if you call me at 6:30 p.m., you will die. I request you have another doctor on Wednesdays and on Sundays because you will die, because I have to exercise on Wednesday. Yesterday, because of electricity problems, we missed it. And today we have decided at 7:30 I'm at Tuna entrance exercising because I know our weight led me to have pressure of 171. I don't want the next time I have sugar of 8 because I never exercised. Sedentary lifestyle, inactivity is leading people to diabetes type 2 because when you have cholesterol in your blood, your fathers in the village, your parents, when they have cholesterol above 10, they are likely to have type 2 diabetes, and your work is to send money. You are working, translating to send money to manage diabetes, yet it's something that could have been prevented. Is it the right time you can help them prevent it? It's as simple as going to Christmas and telling them, this Christmas, I'm bringing you sugarcane juice, managu, saga, na apples. Umezipack from town, Machakos, you go to the village, carry healthy foods. When the father of Joseph sent food to Joseph, the verse said he gave the brothers the best products in the land, and the Bible gave the list: almonds, balm, honey, nuts, fruits. Very clear in the book of Genesis, the book of Exodus, you can read. It says he gave them the best product of the land. Lack of exercise, inactivity. Mimi ya exercise, hata saa hii tukimaliza hapa saa 1:30 wenye mko free, Elder Njogu, if you are available, I will take you there. Tuna entrance hapa tu, tunafanya mazoezi for 2 hours. Exercise. If you don't exercise, you are a candidate of type 2 diabetes. There is a link I will share in the church wall tonight, diabetic risk assessment. If you click that link, one of the question is, how regular do you exercise in a week? If you say never, the results you will get, that is according to the International Diabetes Federation, the results you will get, it will tell you you are at a risk. So never blame the doctors for not treating your diabetes. It could be you have not treated your cells. So we are saying, study your cells. We have seen how the cell come. So the other risk is age. You can never change your age. You can never change your age. Angoa, you can never do what? You can only get older. So as you get older, your risk for diabetes increases. So if you should exercise more as you advance in age, because your liver metabolism reduces, so you need to increase activity. So wale mlikuwa mna exercise high school na primary, sasa mfanye mazoezi, you are doing the opposite. In high school you took supper by 6 p.m. so that you scored a B and A. Now you eat at 10. I will warn you as a doctor, if you can be taken to high school today, you will score as a D-. Because when you eat beyond 6-7 p.m., your body switches, because that food you eat at 10 has not helped your body. So you siku mzima mwili inafanya kazi. Asubuhi unaamka umechoka, ni kama tractor ilikuwa inalima shamba 10 acres. That is why in high school, the science teachers ensured, the law says we must give our children supper by 6 p.m. Have you ever asked yourself why? Why don't they serve at 10 p.m.? Metabolism. The same knowledge, we left it there, came to Crystal Fountain, supper at 10 p.m.,